Welcome to Network Africa. On today's program, the UN has accused the Human Rights Office of the United Nations has accused South Sudan's government of operating a scorched earth policy of deliberate rape, pillage and killing of civilians during the civil war in 2015. Also on the program today, the US and Britain differ on opinion of the crisis situation in Libya. And Africa Tech focus today is on women and the use of internet in their businesses. Network Africa begins right now. Hello everyone, I am Amarachi Ubani. Today, another UN report has revealed that militias on the side of the Sudanese government have been allowed to rape women in lieu of wages while fighting rebels. The UN said it has found that 1,300 women had been raped last year in oil-rich Unity State alone. Now, according to the organization, the army operated a scorched earth policy to deliberately target civilians for killing and rape, which amounted to war crimes. The government denies its army targeted civilians, saying it is investigating the accusations.
The key findings are that crimes against humanity and war crimes have continued into 2015, and they have predominantly been perpetrated by the government. There are instances of opposition violations as well, but the violations identified in 2013, 14, and 15 are the same, which is killing of civilians, displacement, pillaging, abductions, rape, and generally terrorizing the civilian population.
Well, much earlier we spoke to South Sudanese journalist Philip Accuse about the situation in his country. This is what he said. Well, it does seem like we have Philip live with us, so we did have an early recording with him. Philip, thanks for joining us on Network Africa. Well, let's get more now on that story. The Human Rights Office did accuse the UN, the South Sudanese government, of operating what he called a scorched earth policy of deliberate rape, pillage and killing of civilians during the civil war in 2015. And the findings were made in a recent report released by the World Body. It contains harrowing accounts of civilians suspected of supporting the opposition, including children and the disabled, killed by being burned alive, suffocated in containers, shot, hung from trees, or cut in pieces. And groups allied to the government were allowed to rape women in lieu of wages. Between April and September 2015, the UN investigation recorded more than 1,300 reports of rapes in South Sudan's Unity State alone. Now, in one incident, soldiers argued over whether or not to rape a 6-year-old girl and ended up shooting her instead. Even women inside UN protected camps were at risk when they went out to collect food or firewood. The UN Human Rights Chief Zaid Riyad al-Hussein said the number of rapes described in the report must only be a snapshot of the real total, but the massive use as an instrument of war and terror had largely been off the international radar.
In the face of this disturbing trend across a number of our peacekeeping operations, it is imperative that our collective response is more effective. My report proposes strong new initiatives in 3 key areas. First, ending impunity. Second, helping and supporting victims. And third, strengthening accountability, including through action by member states.
I have listened really hard to those who think that this council has no role to play in overseeing discussions about what we do next on curbing sexual abuse and exploitation by peacekeepers. But I have to say, I honestly do not understand the argument. I don't. It is this council that sends peacekeepers into conflict areas because we believe their presence is essential to promoting international peace and security. We deem it our responsibility as a council to oversee every part of their missions, how many soldiers and police to send, what their mandate is, when they can use force, and we give them clear mandates to protect civilians. So let me pose the question this way to the skeptics. When governments attack civilians, it is our job. When armed groups, non-state actors, attack civilians, it is our job. When terrorists attack civilians, it is our job. So why in the world, when the UN's own peacekeepers are the ones attacking civilians, when peacekeepers commit the sickening crime of raping children, is it someone else's job? Explain that. Why is that the exception? The Security Council cannot have responsibility for protecting civilians against all threats from all forces except those whom we directly oversee.
Well, we'll take a break now on Network Africa. When we come back, a look at Angolan President Dos Santos announcing that he will be resigning from office after the elections in 2017. Please join us again.